Nobody's an overnight celebrity, you know. This is not what we're doing is not overnight. That's why I tell people, like, if you want to become a professional poker player, it ain't gonna happen overnight. Yeah. You know, my first score in tournaments took me 7 years. To find what I was good at, and it took me years to really master my craft and to really, you know, it takes time.
I'ma give it all I got, like grinding every day, ain't no other way.
All right, welcome to Embrace the Grind for another episode. I'm here with one of my good friends, goes by the name of Ronnie Bardah. I want to do a little bit of intro about Ronnie because the man has made quite the name of it for himself in poker. He's been in the poker circles at least 20 years. Professionally, for the majority of that time, he has the most viewed YouTube video in terms of poker, getting bluffed by Miss Fiddlin on a huge hand. World Series of Poker bracelet winner. World Series of Poker record holder for the most consecutive cashes. Survivor contestant. The list goes on and on. I can't wait to dive into this with the one and only Ronnie Bardah. Say hi.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? I'm really happy to be here with you, Johnny. You know, when you say you're you know, this show is, or this podcast show, vlog, not a vlog, podcast show called Embrace the Grind, I really feel like you brought a true grinder to the show this time around, because there were no shortcuts in my life, and I really embrace the grind. I love it. I understand it. I respect it. I know what it's about.
I'm excited to get into that, and I think you're going to be really proud of me for this.
Okay.
I have a sponsor for the show.
You have a sponsor for the show?
Yes.
And I'm going to be really proud of it.
You are.
So let me think.
Well, first of all, this is the first time I've ever done a sponsorship for anything of my content.
Okay.
I never did a sponsorship in any of my YouTube vlogs or anything, because it's just a YouTube vlog. What am I supposed to say? This YouTube vlog is brought to you by
whatever. Joe Rogan's got, you ever listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, and it's a...
Yeah, but that's a podcast, so people expect it on a podcast.
But it's a video. He's there.
Yeah.
You know, it's also filmed, and he has to go through 12 different sponsorships before the show even starts. It's like 8 minutes long.
Yeah,
I'm usually
for sure.
fast forwarding through that to get to the show.
We're gonna give you 30 to 45 seconds of this sponsorship.
Okay.
You're never gonna guess. This show is brought to you by NBA Topshot.
Oh wow!
Let's go. I knew you were gonna be proud of that.
Yeah.
NBA Topshot.
Love the NBA.
Yeah, definitely love the NBA.
Me and Johnny are in a group chat, with the Topshot group chat.
Yeah,
with the pop.
I feel like it's like it took crypto, it took digital, it took collectibles, and it combined them into this fun game where you can collect NBA moments. I know personally for myself, some of my all-time favorite moments were from the Indiana Pacers back in the 90s.
Just Miller ruining people.
Reggie Miller was just ruining people.
The choke, looking over to Spike Lee saying your team chokes when you hit 8 points in 8 seconds.
So I've been really getting into the NBA Top Shot. So I'm proud to say that the show is sponsored by NBA Top Shot. We have a buy one get one offer in the comments if you guys want to get in on that. It's a great new fun hobby that I'm partaking in. I know Ronnie's partaking in, and I think you guys will like it too if you guys are fans of the show.
Have they come out with vintage?
No, not yet.
That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm waiting for that too.
Vintage moments.
I want the Reggie Miller moments.
I want the Jordan crossing over Brian Russell. I want some old school moments too from the 60s, 70s. Sure. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So like I said, I've been embracing the grind. Got the first sponsor for the show. Super excited about it.
It's amazing. Congratulations on the sponsor, and Topshot. It might be the future.
No, I think I'm super excited about it. If you guys want to know more about Topshot as well, I'll probably talk about it a little bit on my personal channel, my Johnny Vibes channel as well. But let's get into Ronnie Bardah, and let's rewind back to the early days of the grind for you, back when you were growing up in the East Coast. I know personally, I've known you for quite a while. I know that personally, your upbringing wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, and the grind has been the grind since the very beginning.
The grind's been the grind since I was, 13 years old, really.
Yeah, tell me more about 13 years old.
Not to get so personal, my parents didn't get along so well. They split up a few times when I was very young, and then my mom came back in the picture when I was about 3. I thought the babysitter was my mom for a little while. Mm-hmm. The person that broke up my parents early on. Then my mom came back. She wanted to start the family over. They worked things out, and when I was 13, my parents got divorced again. And not to talk my dad down, he didn't really give me much besides a roof over my head, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna say he tried his, I guess he did what he knew to do, but he wasn't around much when I was growing up with him. And my mom was over in Israel, so besides, putting food on the table here and there, I had to, if I wanted an extra pair of nice kicks, because I only got one pair of sneakers a year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to play the violin out right now, but I was into collectibles early on. I got packs from stores. I'm not proud of it, but I used to steal a lot of them from the corner stores. Find like Grant Hill's, Anthony Hardaway's, Shaquille O'Neal's. Look for the gold, the Topps Gold, 92 Topps Gold. This is, I was 10 years old, 11 years old then. And Grant Hill was a big player, 93, 94, 94, 95.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 94, 95. And I would just look for him and sell them in junior high.
Oh, so sports cars was your first like foray into hustling?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I tried a paper route for a little while. That lasted a few months. I didn't like it because I didn't like, getting up super early on the weekends, Sunday, and have to collect the little envelopes and hoping for tips and all that. And I grew up in Boston, so it was in the snow.
Yeah.
And then my bike got stolen a couple times, and I have to re-steal a bike to get a bike back. And if you didn't put it in the garage before night, you leave it outside, it would get gaffed.
So did you finish high school?
I did.
Yeah.
I finished high school. I wasn't supposed to finish on time. The principal of my high school was Jewish. She knew I was from an Israeli family. I remember like it was yesterday. I came into the office and she was like, you're supposed to stay back. You don't show up to any of your classes, but I know you're going to be just fine. You're very intelligent. I know like there's a lot in store for you in life. So you're going to graduate on the field. And illegally, I think she just like told my teachers to give me the credits I needed. They all just decided to give me a D. Yeah. So I had like my senior year of high school, all my grades were D's. Wow. I never showed up. I didn't show up I showed up to classes that I like.
Yeah. Well, you're blowing up the spot for your teacher, right? Or your home, like whatever. She's gonna get in trouble now.
No, she's retired now.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I still seen her recently when I went back to Brockton before my dad moved out, like walking around this park called DW's Field Park. So, but yeah, to go back to your question, I was grinding baseball cards in the early days. That's why I still have the passion and love for it now. And, in my junior year, I sold a little chronic. And I sold, and then all my friends was pushing like heavy stuff, pills and heroin and crack, cocaine.
Did you ever feel like you might go down that path?
No, because I didn't want to hurt anybody, One thing that hasn't changed with me in my life is my heart. Not to, there's a lot of issues going on with me, a lot of like problems mentally, doing things where you're not. But my heart, whenever I think I want to do something, my heart will tell me, no, that's no good. Yeah. Even when I was younger. If I seen something my parents did that was bad as a child, I'd be like, that's fucked up. Yeah. So the way I justified selling weed when I was younger was, well, this is not going to hurt anybody. Yeah. I never want to give anybody any white and man-made stuff that could, alter their train of, just do something crazy or just be very bad for their health.
Ruin lives, basically.
Yeah. And that's that's the sad thing about it. A lot of kids I grew up with, that's the route they went, and they were selling tons of heroin to, Brockton was an inner city, when they sold to all the kids that came out from the suburbs, and a lot of kids in Brockton. It's a big epidemic right now, especially a lot of.
I'm sure some of your friends were making some decent money though.
They were, and they were going in and out of, juvie, or the ones who, I'm not going to say smart, but the ones who did it well, kind of got out, made their money and got out. Yeah. A few got deported back to their countries. If they were, Haitian and not born in the States, get deported to Haiti or Cape Verde, which is a lot of Cape Verdeans were in Brockton, and Brockton was very populated with Cape Verdeans, and a couple of my friends got deported back to Cape Verde, and a few aren't here with us today, got shot and killed because of gang violence, and some did some time and got out. And I made some mistakes in the past, mentioning names, so I won't. Obviously, it doesn't really matter to mention their names, or it's important.
For sure.
But I did that for a few years.
What led you into poker?
My parents were just gamblers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
My mom and my dad were scratching tickets as far as I can remember. When I was, 6 years old, I can remember my father driving the Ford Taurus station wagon doing 85, because back then the speedometer only went to 85, right? And he would just he would have his ticket on front of on the steering wheel, scratching it with a Salem 100. He smoked Salems, with his big glasses, and he was just fucking scratching the ticket, doing 85, swerving on Route 24, Route 95 in Mass, and just getting upset. And I used to sweat it from the back. Nobody had a seatbelt on. You don't have to wear seatbelts. And we just looking and seeing if my father won, and he would always give me the loser to check to see if, and once in a while I would find, like, dude, look, you missed it. It was a $2 winner or $10 winner. And they would play Keno when Keno became a thing. I was always in the racetracks, random dog tracks, Suffolk dog track. These are local dog tracks that are now.
So you're like 12 younger?
Yeah, younger, like 7, 8 years old. I remember being a child and crowd, like smoked full rooms in random dog track in Suffolk Downs, which is a horse track. All the dog tracks now are illegal. You can't, they don't run any more dog tracks. It's animal abuse pretty much, what they used to do, those poor greyhounds. But as an 8-year-old, I remember being in there, whole bunch of old men and, older men screaming at the screens. And they used to have like little ice cream places. We used to get, my dad would give me like $6-7 to bet show, Quinella, perfecta, trifecta. These are all like race betting terminology. You bet like show, dog would finish top 3, place with top 2, or the winner would be top 1. And, I used to grind then, just trying to pick the right dogs and realizing how to handicap and understanding the odds. So as a child, I knew what 3-2 meant, or 6-5, or 3-1, or 10-1.
Yeah.
And then, when Foxwoods opened up in '92, shit, we were there every weekend.
Wow.
I used to see the same kids at the arcade. They used to drop us off at the arcade when I was 10 years old with $20 to last us 12 hours. And they would pick us up at like dinner time and go to the buffet, which was awful, but we thought it was the best thing in the world. Yeah. We go to the buffet and he'd drop us back off. And sometimes they pick us up before closing. And if not, if they were really degenning hard, then we would just sit there on a bench when the casino, when the arcade closed at like 11 o'clock at night. It was kind of like a kid zone,
Yeah.
I had my first damn kiss in the casino, man, with an Asian girl.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and like the stairwell when I was like 12. We used to see the same kids. Sometimes they disappear because their parents would either go broke or, who knows, maybe going through GA or something. But yeah, to answer your question, that's how I started to play poker. I was always in the casinos as a young person, a young child, and I knew, I got a fake ID in high school when I was 16 and in my beginning of my senior year. So, I was just 17, I guess. And I started hitting foxes up with my dad. I already was hitting foxes, but now I can gamble. My dad knew I had the fake ID. He loved it. He's like, oh yeah, so I can walk in with him and hang out with him. And I was playing, blackjack, and craps and all the carnival games. And my dad, he appreciated, I don't know why I use the word appreciated, but my dad loved stud. I guess he did appreciate stud. And I would sit down with him to try to like hang out with him, and he would just yell at me.
Bad luck.
No, but he was just like.
Wait, was this the first poker game you learned?
The first poker game I learned was 7-card stud.
Oh, okay.
When I was like 17, 5-card draw was really the first poker game I learned when I was like a kid. When I was like 9, I knew the like what beat what at 10 years old. Yeah. And then 7-card stud was a game I learned in the casino or with my dad at home. And I remember he like seen me play a hand and he just yelled at me like, you don't even belong here. You're gonna lose your money. Go. And he just yelled at me in front of everybody. And then I just went back to blackjack, and then eventually, Moneymaker won, and I was, playing Holdem around that time in 03. It just turned 21, and I was playing in basements in Brockton and we did $5 sitting goes, and I was always winning them and doing better than my friends. We'd play a little cash game after, 50 cents a dollar. Everybody was smoking blunts and shit.
I mean, I know the modern version of Ronnie Bardah, so I don't know the degenning in the pits version. When did you turn that part of you off?
When I started playing cards, when I realized that poker was so much fun, A, B, that I actually started seeing like a profit. In between working at Sears Automotive, I had some random jobs prior to that in high school, like Walmart, McDonald's, Bigford's, which is like a, diner type chain in the Northeast. I was working full time at these places and going with my dad to the casino and going in the pits and sometimes making $2,000-3,000, but usually I would lose. I'm not counting. I'm not an advantage player at a young age. I didn't know that kind of stuff then. Yeah. And as I picked up poker, I really gained. I already had that background as a gambler. I already knew the nuances of just growing like the scene and stuff and being there. So I picked it up really quick. On top of like me growing up where I grew up and the things that I've been through, I had and I think just naturally I have an innate feel for people and, I have a good read on situations. So when we were all learning back in 2002 and 3, that's who thrived was us and the players that were already there. Yeah. Your grinders who were playing in 90s that necessarily weren't great. They just knew how to play. It must have been a gold mine for those guys. The guys who were like playing professionally, like my friend Myron Bernstein, he's good. He's the grinder of all grinders. You know, he's in 70s now, but you know, he just seen this huge wave of people coming into the casino and playing cards and sitting down. And you know, for me, we were just, you know, everybody wasn't great, but if you were if you were better than everybody else in poker, you would make money. So I started, you know, realizing I was making good money going out of Foxwoods, and I worked less hours at Sears Automotive, and I started selling less weed, and then I started selling no weed at all after I had some unfortunate incidents running in with a few different crowds and realizing it wasn't for me anymore, and seeing what happened to some of my friends, obviously, and knew better to get out of that. Thank God, which, you know, I would have outgrew it anyways. That's why I tell everybody. Like, they ask me for my advice, how do I become a professional poker player? I'm like, well, not to sound like, you know, mean, I just say, don't quit your day job right away. You know, keep good records. See yourself making a profit in the games you're playing. Don't, like, if somebody has 100,000, they shouldn't just sit down and play 5-10 no limit. They should see if they can beat 1-3 no limit right away. Depending on how good their games, and they just keep good records and see what your hourly is actually playing. And don't that's why a lot of these people do. They just, these rec players and these players who want to become, or these semi-pros, they put everything in one. They like combine their money they're making in their businesses and everything's together. They don't really know if they're making money.
So how long did you spend on the East Coast before you finally came out to Vegas?
Well, I went to Miami first, but I mean, if I could, I don't have any regrets. Okay. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but my road here brought me to here now. And of course, if you ask anybody if they can go back in time, they would snap call and say yes.
So let's hear what you would like to go back in time for.
I would have moved instantly to California
when
I was 20, when I was 19, 18. Because I just feel like I'm a personality, you know, not to blow smoke on my own ass. I really feel like I'm a character. I could have gone into movies, voiceovers. I was an amazing singer, talented musician. I just have that feel for music. And also, poker was huge, and I wish I went to Vegas, and I wish I did the West Coast thing at a young age. And also the type of people you send yourself around. The East Coast, everybody's just like kind of hardcore in your face, you know, which I do appreciate. You know, I like that honesty, which you don't get much out. You know, West Coast people are cool. I love them.
The music thing is interesting to me though, because we just wrapped up a wedding. Gary Gates, one of our good buddies, got married in Mexico.
Yeah, we did. That was a great time. And
you did a little singing performance there, and it was absolutely beautiful. I must say, it was amazing. And I've been privy to some of your harmonizing, and even when we were firing up the set right here, I was like, let's get set up for Embrace the Grind. And all of a sudden. I was like, can you do that? But when we start the show or something, you're like, yeah, I'll figure something out.
Can you rap if I give you a beat, or
no? I'm not. No, sorry, man, I cannot do that.
I mean, we're not even live. I don't know why I was a little nervous, but I don't know, because I guess when I'm not on the spot, I do things a bit better. I'm really good unrehearsed. A lot of my friends are like, I'm funny on accident. You know, I always thought about being a comedian or trying to do some comic stuff, stand-up. I shouldn't say comic stuff, stand-up. And I guess I could probably get used to it if I wrote some bits. You got to be awful before you're great. I heard being a comedian, you have to get booed off 1,000 times, right, before you get comfortable. But all my friends tell me, I'm funny on accident. I'm not somebody I'm just funny naturally.
Yeah.
So, but...
No, but I do think the music thing is intriguing. Sure, you're maybe a little bit too old to join a boy band or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be, even though boy bands are out of style, but I would have to have a realistic, view of what I could do with music now at almost 40. I'm 38, another year and a half till I turn 40. If that's in music production or background singing or even making my own music, like singing something that, that's I'm comfortable with. Because I have a really good ear. I think I'd have to collab with people that are obviously I would collab with people that are making music, making beats, writing. I'm not the greatest writer, but I think I have a great feel for structuring music, melodies, putting a musical piece together of where things should be in terms of verses and hooks and bridges and the sound of what a song can sound like if you provided me a beat.
Yeah.
And if I could probably write a little myself. I'm one to always put myself down, not give myself enough credit. I come from the humble family thing. I come from the humble stance where I just kind of, I'm pretty self-deprecating as well, like making fun of myself.
I could see I could see you making a song or being a part of like some sort of music making process. And I think that there's no accident that you've been involved in, you've been in a lot, you've made it very far in certain auditions for certain things. I know that you were in the final stages of going on certain shows a lot. You ended up making it on one show, which I know you're not really happy with.
Yeah, it was a lot of, we can talk about that a little later. We can dive into Survivor because that's like that comes later in my life if we're doing a chronological order of my life, because I feel like that's where it's going. We talked about my childhood, how I got into poker.
We can dive into the Survivor right now. It was something that you worked hard to get on, right?
Well, yeah, I just made it. I read this book called The One Extraordinary Thing, and it was actually a book that Fedor Holtz recommended to me to read. And what it talked about was giving all your energy to one thing, and how to time blocking your energy and dedicating, if it's 4 hours a day, to doing this. And when our Anna Kate, I don't know why I'm saying our, but when Anna Kate got on Survivor and claimed to be this professional poker player, which I'm not going to badmouth her. I don't want to badmouth her here, but I don't consider her really we want to talk about embrace the grind. I mean, she was in it for a couple of like 2 or 3 years. She played a little 2-5 on her spare time. I'm sure she was doing other things. I wouldn't consider her a professional poker player. Anybody can say they're a professional poker player, I guess, right?
Is that what put Survivor on your radar?
Yeah, well, I always liked Survivor as well. Like everybody else, I watched the first episode when Richard Hatch won. He was out of Providence, and then it kind of fell off. I was interested in other things, and when Boston Rob came around and I heard of him and he won his season, I kind of watched that, and not in real time, but I went back and watched a few episodes, and I knew he liked to play poker. But then Survivor really came on my radar when Anna Kate came on, and I remember where I was in Australia, and she got announced as one of the cast and as a professional poker player. I actually tweeted something like, "What makes you a professional poker player?" And it was a little hate, it was a little envious, but I was upset that she was, titled a professional poker player, because I don't see her. I don't know. I know that,
Well, you weren't the only one that had
all of us
as a community.
As a community, thank you.
Yeah.
Didn't really respect that. So it made me want to get on Survivor, not only, and I started watching it more and more and more. And I was like, wow, this is a pure game of, being able to socialize and just strategy and just understanding walks of life, and just, if you haven't watched Survivor, Johnny, you should really give it a chance and watch a few episodes, and you'd get into it.
Well, I had planned on watching a few episodes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I honestly thought that and I still think, and I know that in the right state, I would have crushed. I had some unfortunate things happen prior that really had me snowball into a really debilitating physical state, and also all the drugs I was on in terms of feel better weren't helping me and my mental clarity was gone. I was a complete shell of myself when I got on. I had no diagnosis, so there was nothing to tell CBS at the time. And I just kept saying to myself, never give up, you're going to be fine, and it happened about 3 months prior to getting on.
I remember that actually, like it was maybe a month to go, and you're like, I'm going to this place in California in the middle of nowhere to like try this alternative treatment.
I did a water fast.
And
it was doctors. I checked myself into Santa Rosa True North Detox Center in Santa Rosa 2 months prior, and on top of like trying to heal whatever was going on, and I underwent an 8-day water fast, and I thought that would actually help me as well on Survivor, because you don't eat much on Survivor. So I'm like, if I can do an 8-day water fast and feel through that, go through that suffering, and it could also benefit whatever I'm dealing with, it would be great training for Survivor. So it was kind of a two-way thing for me. It didn't help my ailment, and I did heal some of my gut from the drugs that I took prior, some of the antibiotics that were supposed to help whatever I was dealing with that doctors threw at me as as a method of healing that didn't help. And then I eventually 2 weeks prior, I tried a couple more drugs, experimenting with alpha blockers and things that are supposed to calm down my pelvic floor. So I had some pelvic floor issues, and I'm okay. I'm not embarrassed talking about it. I think men, it's a stigma where men are supposed to stay strong and not talk about feeling sick, or especially having pelvic floor issues or hip issues or something that involves your prostate or your bladder or your genitals and stuff like that. Like I know that I didn't have any venereal diseases. I know that I wasn't dying from cancer. I know that my MRIs and CAT scans all came out. There were no masses anywhere. So I knew that I wasn't necessarily dying. Did I feel like I was? Yes. Am I over exaggerating? No. Telling you, if you've known me for years, I'm somebody who prides myself to be extremely rational, extremely with it. And what was going on with my body 2-3 months prior to going, 4 months going to Survivor, was like, I don't know what the hell happened. Like I couldn't pee straight. I couldn't sit down for long periods of time. I was always running to the bathroom. I had all this pelvic, like, when I say pelvic floor, people are listening to this, they're thinking like my dick hurts or my balls hurt or something like that. No, it's mostly like inside of where my sacrum sat. Like in the center of if you think of your center of your body and your root chakra, the energy coming out of there was extremely dull and painful, and I was getting like these throbbing pains going to my lower back and through my, like, toward my genital region and the left side. So it was like it was gauged on one side of my body. And what doctors were saying that I might have prostatitis, I might have bladder issues, I might have this, with no proof, with no infection. I mean, I was desperate. I took all the antibiotics they gave me. I took all the medicine because I wanted to be the best Ronnie for the show. I wanted to be the Ronnie that everybody freaking knew from the Rio and from Bellagio and from Foxwoods, from Mohegan Sun, from Hard Rock in Florida, from Gulfstream, from the Commerce, this light of energy that people were around that made people smile, that got along with the Persian guy, that got along with the old Asian lady, the young grinder, the kid with tattoos on his fucking forearm, the ginger, the grinder, the big pro, the wreck, the floor man, and the girl who's taking the trash out, from the waitress to the fucking bottle service at night. Like, that's who I am, and that's who I am. That's who I still am. It's been a hard ride since then. So I've kind of like, I don't have all the energy I had then, because going through all that kind of,
I mean, I can hear you getting worked up about it.
Yeah, it's something that I cried a lot during that time. I broke down. I didn't know. I'm not so religious, but I asked God, why? What's going on here? I had my fair share of health issues, not serious like this, but I had some stomach issues, and I know you had some stomach issues, and I changed my diet in the early 2010s. And that was like a few months where I had some cramping and stuff. But besides that, I've been generally really, really healthy. And, I still don't really have a real diagnosis. Since all of that, I'm about 95% better. I still have some some doctors say it's all nerve related. I've done a lot of meditation and yoga, and I'm trying to figure out what helps. Change my diet, tweaked it a little, although I've been eating healthy for the last 10 years of my life. I don't drink alcohol. I know you said you quit yourself.
Yeah, I haven't drank alcohol in a couple of weeks, so let's not give me a Medal of Honor at this point.
Yeah, I just think, I met this new functional doctor out here. He ran all these tests, and I still have an appointment to do an overall, to see what I'm allergic to. But he told me when I went to go there to grab something, he stopped me. He's like, "Hey, Ronnie, just to let you know, you and alcohol, you're done for your life." He was like, "You're allergic to it. You have no enzymes to break it down. You're one of the worst I've ever seen."
Wow.
He's like, you're not gonna perform in any areas drinking at all. And I like drinking in the nightclubs when I was in my 20s, and it gave me that liquid courage, and I would go out and talk to girls, and not that I have issues talking to women, but it would make you want to dance and have fun, and it was good. But I would always feel destroyed after. Literally, like, not like hungover, like a lot of normal kids were, like, felt like my prostate was hurting. Like at 20 something years old, I felt like pain down there and pain in my gut, pain in my head. I would diarrhea for 3 days. It was awful. And I wasn't, this should have set alarm bells off, but I didn't have much guidance growing up. I didn't have much anybody telling me not to drink, don't do this, don't do that. My parents didn't drink, so that should have been a good indication there.
I can definitely attest to your ability to connect with all walks, because you are friends with some of the most brash, crazy guys, and then you're friends with me, who's like the most calm, even,
relaxed. But yeah, you if somebody steps to you, you know how to. You're not going to just sit there. You know how to. You'll come at them. And I know you've said, like, you don't like the way you react sometimes, and you are a very, very calm, mild-mannered man. But I do respect, obviously, that when somebody does say something to you, you're not going to just sit there. You're going to defend yourself. Your brother's a bit more of the, he can come out and be like, fuck this shit, you know. But your brother's another one who's also very, very zen and really taps into all of that. Yeah. I mean, I do have many different friends. I
think the thing through some like self-discovery, I figured out like what it is for me. For me, it's when I feel like someone is being a bully. As an older brother, if I see a bully, I kind of want to step into the role of like handling the bully or like knocking the bully down. So I'm usually okay with like discourse and like people that disagree with each other. But the moment that I see like bullying kind of like hatred, that's when I get kind of worked up. And I think it just comes from having like younger siblings and just being that way as a kid as well. But yeah, no, I really want to go down that road. I just wanted to
No, sure. We touch up on a little. I think there's some, I mean, with that being said, I agree with everything you're saying. And also, I also believe that things are becoming slightly soft. And there are some people in the poker world that should be checked once in a while when they're doing awful things, especially taking advantage of people and scamming people. And I think there should be, bigger consequences. I think as a community, we should just push people right out. I'm not going to drop names here, but we all know who I'm talking, like people I'm talking about, people that like steal from people or, there's so many second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh chances in poker, either because somebody's really good and people want to keep staking them but there's so many awful, awful human beings. But I am very confident in saying that there's way more better people in poker than there is bad. And that's why it's such a cool industry to be in.
I think in general, anytime you have like an industry where you're dealing with a lot of money, I think that it's just going to be like that across the board. Like if you go to Wall Street, I'm sure that the people on Wall Street are just as like at the same percentage are doing things that poker players are doing.
White collar crimes. That's what they call it. Blue collar, white collar.
Yeah, white collar.
White collar crimes. Yeah, I mean, they get really, really, really cutthroat and filthy in that.
Yeah. So while poker players definitely get a bad reputation, I think that I don't personally think that it's abnormally higher proportion versus like the average person that has a lot of money or has access to money. I think that people are just their true selves, no matter what profession they kind of go into. But we definitely have given a lot of second chances in poker, and it's kind of disgusting.
I'm one to like, I don't know. It's weird too. I'm one to be like, if somebody does me wrong and they're done with me, obviously right away, I'm just like, fuck that shit, But I'm also one not to give people a first chance, and that's not one of my best, features. What's the word I'm looking for? Like I don't trust that easily, and I don't allow myself to get fucked. I've got beef at 200 here and there, 100. I learned early, 100, 200, but I've not, these stories of these poker players getting like owned for 30K, 50K, 80K, I would lose my mind. I would think about like doing some really bad things. That's why I don't want to be in that position. Yeah. I also don't stake anybody because I don't have the heart and brain for like, not the brain, the mentality to stake people. I get too much anxiety dealing with my own money. Yeah. But with that being said, I'm networking a lot more these days. Not that I used to look down on like the guys that used to like befriend multimillionaires in the poker world, and want to get into the circles where I used to be like, that's not my style. But now like, I don't think it's anything wrong with it, wanting to know how to meet these people so you can learn from them. Yeah. Cause like, if you want to become a multimillionaire, you're going to be around multimillionaires.
Yeah. And I don't think that's selfish. I think that that's just being around people that you find like their energy is something that you feed off of something. And obviously like they're not going to just charity case be your friend if they don't see any value in you. I think if the relationships
can be built organically and they find special something in you and they're like, hey, I like this guy. He seems like he's hungry and he's a nice kid. Like I want to help him. And I think if there's a good relationship, that's fine. Yeah. But I used to be like, oh, he's just hanging out with him because he has money, blah, blah, blah. Like whatever. It's no big deal. As I get older, I'm like, you can't get super successful alone.
When you were, I kind of want to go back to the poker now.
We can go back to Survivor too. I mean, we didn't really touch on that. Oh yeah. I'll just finish with that. When I was out there, I felt really awful. And everybody, in the first time in my whole life, I felt like an outsider. I felt like people did not like what I was about. My energy was completely off. You know, Daniel Negreanu, who like is not, me and him, we just know each other on a hello, maybe 6-7 conversations our whole life, tweeted after the show was over, who the hell was that?
Yeah.
I have a screenshot of it. What the hell did I just watch?
Yeah.
I know Ronnie Bardah is a very joyful, happy person. He didn't smile once. He looked like a complete crack fiend. What the hell was going on?
Yeah.
And other people were like, yo, what, you know, they thought it was editing or whatever, but
well, after the show though, you don't just immediately go home. You go to like a different area or something.
You go to Ponderosa, they call it, where it's where we end up in the beginning. You know, before we actually go out, it's like these little huts on a little beach. It's like a little kind of a beach.
And you intermingle with the people that have left the show early as well, right?
Yeah, we wait for usually it's 7 people. With our cast, it was 6.
Oh, okay.
It's called pre-jury. The rest of the people determine who wins, because when they're down to 13 or 14, and if you make it to that junction, it's called a merge. And now there's no longer 2 or 3 tribes. There's only 1 tribe, and it's all for individual. You're playing individually.
So when you were with the 6 people, did you connect with them? Like,
yeah, I was in a lot of pain, and I don't think to this day that a lot of them really understand what I was going through, and I don't blame them, because it can't. If in their mind, it's like, if it was really that bad, why are you here?
Yeah.
But it was really that bad. Like I was like we went to Australia after we all met up, and even when I was at Ponderosa waiting for all the remaining people to come off, I was like this close to being like, I just want to go home. I want to go. But you I would have forfeit my money, which is $15,000, and through all $15,000 was last place, and through all the medical tests that I've already gone through, I knew that I wasn't dying.
Yeah.
But I was in so much pain. I just wanted to go try to figure it out. And while I had to wait another 30 days in Fiji and in Australia to figure that out. I was with the other 5-6, mingling with these people that are my friends now.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So did you become friends with some of those people?
I became close friends to 3 others on the pre-jury. I became really super close to Missy and Aaron as well, who made the top 13. Lauren, who made the top 4. I'm like acquaintances with like Dean, a few of the contestants that, I would say about half of them I still talk to, maybe a little less than half. And they all know who I am really much now, as a person, because we did a lot of things after the show aired, a lot of meetings and stuff like that.
Do you think with your current diagnosis and current level of pain and understanding of what you're going through, would you want to go back to the show?
100%, yeah.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Yeah. As long as I think CBS would, through my story and everything, they might think I'm some kind of liability, because they don't know me prior to this, right?
Yeah.
They see me though in my audition process. They seen my audition tape. They met me. Matt Van Wagenen knew me as a person prior to that. Jeff Probst really had a lot of confidence as me. He's the host of the show. I had a lot of confidence in me as a contestant, as a player, as somebody who understood the game, as my personality and what have you. But what they seen on the show, I don't know if they think I just kind of flopped, or I hid things for them, which I didn't. Maybe I could have said that I'm not feeling great. I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm ready to play. And I said something like that prior right before going off to Jeff. But I would hope they would give me another chance and really believe in my story. And the only good thing about being the first off, there's a huge want for a first boot season. There's already been 21 years into Survivor. 40. They're just finished filming 41 and 42 the second season, 42nd season. So they have a lot of good first offs. Yeah. So a whole first boot season or a first boot tribe. And if that was the case, I would hope they would reach out to me and be like, Ronnie, there's a redemption season coming up for the first off. Are you feeling better? Are you great to go on? Yeah. In the way I feel now, that I just know it's a nerve condition. I'm off all the antibiotics. Obviously, I'm off all the drugs. I've regained all my mental clarity pretty much. I'm pretty sound. I couldn't even have conversations the way that me and you are having right now when this was all going on. I couldn't even formulate words as easy as entertainment or, just regular words wouldn't come out. So yes, I think I'm ready. I would be ready right now to go off. Obviously, I would train a little hard. I'm at the right weight. I gained 20 pounds, which is good in the last year. I
wanted to go back to poker and talk about, you've always been kind of a cash game grinder, right?
Yeah.
But you have a World Series of Poker bracelet. Most recently, you peeled a chop at Hard Rock in Florida for over $500,000. I'm not sure the exact dollar amount. So you've had pretty good success in tournaments. Do you, when did you start mixing in the tournaments? Is that something that you've always done, or is it?
Yeah, you tweeted something recently about your brother.
Yeah.
About saying like, my brother's already amassed over $1 million in earnings and the kid doesn't play that many tournaments. Like if this kid put the effort in, he'd become a fucking monster. Yeah. And I agree with that statement. And I also relate to that because, I have about $2 million in earnings and I would say that I play, 90% of my poker volume and when I sit down at a table is always in the cash game realm. In the cash game world. Mm-hmm. If it was in my early days, I played tons of no limit, but I was interested. Like obviously I like the fandom a little. I like, maybe getting some notoriety and being in tournaments are super fun when you're deep and you have the chips or you're grinding 12 big blinds and the money, whatever it is. Like it's a huge competition, right? Yeah. So I started playing the act satellites at Foxwoods. They had the best satellite system in the world. Where there was like an act sit and go act 1, where 2 would go and 3rd would get a replay, and the act 2 was the same. It was
like a step up tournament?
It's a steps. Live steps. Wow. They were the first ones to do it in 2003, 4,
and you
5.
Just hang out until the next
You would wait until they called them like an act 2 or running an act 2. Anybody had a ticket or a voucher, or you can just buy in directly to the act 2.
Oh, okay.
And the act 3s were $1,100. They ran like twice, like every Sunday. 4 months before the tournament, the 10K happened or the 5K. Oh. So the way I built my bankroll was playing these step satellites along with 2-5 no limit and 1-2 no limit.
They would give you cash?
If you won more than one seat, they would give you cash.
Oh.
Well, if you won your second seat, they would give you a 5K seat, a 5K prelim seat, a 2K prelim, and 3K cash. And then your 3rd, 4th, 5th. I won 5 seats once, and my last 3 bullets were 10K each. Wow. My last 3 seats were 10K each, and I had all the prelims set up. So when all these people came into Fox, it was in the 2006, 7, 8. I already had my seat, and I would be in the main event. And I was awful at tournaments back then. I mean, I wasn't awful. I had some cashes, It wasn't until I actually quit smoking weed. When I say quit, like not smoking 2 blunts a day, with all my boys like on breaks and stuff like that. When I stopped smoking, playing in 2010, my career went like this to the roof. And I personally believe no matter what these grinders say, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I care for people. I want them to quit while they play. Yeah. There's very, very few, maybe Matt Stout. He may be one that plays better when he's high. And I don't want to use the word high when he's lifted because it's like high, smoking weeds when you're in that state.
I've had so many people tell me that it helps them play better. I just don't get that.
You're your best version of yourself when you're 100% sober. And when you are okay with that feeling, when you're able to be sober. A lot of people just can't deal with reality. They can't deal with their thoughts when they're sober. They want to suppress them. They want to smoke. They want to do whatever they do, if it's drinking or whatever, to push it out and make another day. And I'm not going to take away. A lot of people enjoy the feeling of being, smoking weed. Only time I ever enjoyed it is when the come down, when it's very, very mild. Now I'll occasionally do a CBD, like diet. I call it diet weed. A little CBD. I mean, a lot of CBD with a very minimal amount of THC, 10-to-1 ratio. And even then, that makes me really groggy the next day. But when I quit in 2010, my tournament success went up through the roof. I made better decisions. I wasn't as passive. I really, really took advantage of feeling the spot where I should be bluffing or should I be calling, bluff catching. Yeah. And then I had a big score in 2010 but I play mostly cash games. I've never studied and I'm not proud of that. Yeah. I am semi-proud of it because I just show up. You want to say I'm really embracing the grind. I just show up. I play a ton of hours. The only studying I've done is talking hand histories with the Massies or with Jaffe or with yourself or with your brother or whoever I'm speaking to are really good at tournaments. We talk about hands, what should I do here, there, or just being in the fire. I don't even know what a solver. Jake Schindler told me in 2013. He was one of the first. We were lifting at the beach club in 2014, and when he was a child, basically, he's 20, 21. He was 21, 20. Yeah. He's like, yo, he's like, here, do this. Don't show anybody, but these are solvers. I remember it was yesterday. 2000, still living in Miami, 2013. This is what this is what we need to do. And instead of grasping on a Jake and be like, can you teach me? I want to come to your apartment. I was like, oh, cool. I still had a copy. I may even have it in my phone, because I keep notes from. And I didn't do anything. I don't know about I know what people's ranges can be, but I don't know the whole. I see all these range charts of what people can have and what you should be 3-betting or 4-betting with a certain amount of blinds and all that. I'm just a gut. I'm just a field player, Yeah. I'm scared that if I learn like learn this strategy and learn solvers, that would be awful for like a year or two until I adjusted.
Yeah.
Like it would be a huge adjustment for me to go from the style that I'm used to playing now to learning this whole new world of like applying certain strategy and applying these solvers and game theory and all this other stuff, and then trying to go and maneuver and function in that lane.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes total sense. Whenever you are naturally gifted at something, and I'm not going to say that you're naturally gifted at poker. What I'm saying is that you're naturally gifted at the process of like poker, yes, but like you sit down at the table, you understand how people react to certain things, and you try things, and you're like, oh, you're like processing it in the moment. You're like, okay, you're figuring things out along the way. So when you say that you didn't study, your study time was at the table. Like you were utilizing the environmental factors at your table. You were taking it all in more than the average player, and like saying, okay, I tried this one time, it didn't work. I'm noticing when I quit smoking weed that it's working better. I noticed that like I'm being more aggressive in these spots and it's working better. So to say that you haven't studied like the traditional route, I would say is kind of unfair. Like,
yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier in this conversation that I play myself down a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And to go, you're sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah, no.
But to go what you're saying, like I mean, like I have a really good feel, and I like when I'm in the hand, I'm like, when somebody checks and I'm in the hand, I look at somebody like my buddy or somebody I know on the left, I'm like, she's continuing or he's continuing. And I bet the flop and they check raise me or they at least call, like I'm always right. I know when players are continuing in the hand, and that's something that I'm really good at. And the best of the best like can trick me obviously, or do something, or balance their checking or the way they act when the flops come out. But I'm really good with just feeling who's gonna like 3-bet me, or you know, I've mucked hands where I'm supposed to be opening because I know the guy on my left had a monster, or because I just know they look at their hand prior to I look. I just kind of know by their body or their just aura and their feel. I did like a freaking main event, how to approach the main event video for Ivy Poker. It's got to be out there somewhere, but it's got to be the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. But it was just talking about these things and like how I play the main event. It was like an hour and a half long, and I made it in 2014. But yeah, I always thought to myself like, how if I took on a coach. You know, I have access to a lot of great players. Yeah. You know, I became friends with a few guys who play the high rollers. I'm like, maybe I should DM them and be like, hey, do you want to take me on? Like, you know, I've been very, very, I would say very successful playing cards over the last 17 years. For my, like, I'm happy where I am, but I always wonder, can I make it to, you know, the top level? And I think my A game is better than like so many people like. But I can play an F game. Like I know when I'm playing terribly, and I think consistency is something that the best of the best do, and also being able to play well, like on stream, on camera, knowing the whole card, knowing that the public's watching. That's something that I've always been like kind of like when I'm poker after dark or I'm out of stream. I always kind of like Miss Finland, you know.
I can't really blame you for the Miss Finland.
No, Miss Finland was whatever. Miss Finland was more fun. Yeah, nobody can blame me for that. But there's other times where I do something like stupid or. You know, plan poker is the hardest thing because as a cash game player, we both know that like if you're not feeling well, you just don't play. You know, but if you have a live at the bike and you're gonna play 25, 50, 100, you know, and it's 2 weeks from now, but that morning you wake up and on that morning, if you would be like, I don't feel like playing today. I don't feel right. But now you have this planned thing at Poker After Dark, or you have to show up, and you don't understand. Like whoever's listening, if you're listening to this, like. The people that play like high stakes poker continuously, like Antonius and Ivy, and keep performing at a fucking ultimate level, that's the hardest right there. That to me is like just above the rim shit, because you have to just be ready all the time. Yeah. And the beauty of playing poker for a living is that when you're financially stable and you've built a decent bankroll for yourself, if you don't want to fucking play today or tomorrow or the whole next week because you're in a fog, you're having issues outside of poker, you're not feeling well, whatever, you don't have to. Yeah. But you have to sometimes, you know? And I had to sometimes too.
But think about it, like, you know, the good games are fewer and farther between that are at the higher levels. Yeah. So like there will be times where I'll get an invite to a big game. And if I don't go, I don't actually know when I'm going to get invited to another big, good game, you know? Yeah. So it hurts my opportunity cost in the future as well if I don't come through on that. So it's definitely something that you could maybe 10 years ago, like say, oh, I'm not going to play in this big game. And another one will pop up tomorrow and you go to another casino and it'll be fine. But now you just got to take every opportunity you can get. And, you know, has there ever been a time in poker where you thought about leaving the game or you were close to leaving the game?
Like leaving the game in terms of like not playing professionally anymore?
Like doing something else, you know?
I don't know. I mean, did I think about incorporating something else in my life? Like I used to have weird thoughts like 7-8 years ago, like maybe I should bartend just to have some kind of structure, or like 2 days a week and I do something different. But no, I would like to one day say, I'm never going to quit playing poker. Like all these people, like,
yeah,
I love it. I'm still passionate about it.
Yeah.
I still love sitting down, check raising people's faces off.
Yeah.
I still love the reactions. I still like the camaraderie at the table. I still like some of the beefs at the table when people get into it. I just like that energy. I grew up in it. You know, it's kind of what I know.
Yeah.
You know, poker found me, man. I didn't quit school like a lot of people did, drop out of law school or get their law degree or their doctorate, or, you know, they like left a fucking 100,000 job, you know, whatever. They come from a rich family. Like, this is what I know, right? And I'm good at it. So unless I found something that I was super passionate about and I was making a lot of money or contributing a lot to society, maybe I would, you know, if one of my good friends had a business opportunity and they're like, I think we thrive at this and made sense to me, I would take a couple of years off. Would you really, like not completely off. I'll try to play once a week to keep the dust off, you know, and like play the main event or do something else. But did I ever consider leaving poker full time? No. I thought of it. Do I want? Yeah, I don't know. I joke about like wishing I never knew what poker was, because I honestly think that I'd be great at a lot of things if I learned them well, and I think that I could do many things if I put my heart to it. But I enjoy it. I like poker. It would be cool to make the Poker Hall of Fame one day too.
Yeah.
In some capacity. I don't know what, you know, I don't know if I'm on that route. I think there's a lot of people that are more deserving of me at my age, you know, especially these like David Peters and, you know, those kind of guys.
Well, I think one of the things about the Poker Hall of Fame is longevity, and you're someone that has been around for a long time. So if you continue, you know, so many people they make a lot of money and then they leave, you know, they climb to the highest stakes and then they're gone. So I think in order to be part of the Poker Hall of Fame, you have to do that. One thing that you could potentially do is climb to play higher stakes. You could play more games. Right now you're just playing mostly no limit hold'em and limit hold'em, right?
Yeah, it's like some of the horse games, 8 game, but not much. Mostly limit hold'em and no limit hold'em.
Yeah. So I mean, if that was a priority, like
it's been a kind of like the last 3 years, I'm like, I need to learn mix. And like 4 years, I need to learn mix. And it's always like, I just keep printing in limit hold'em and some no limit games. And I'm like, it's hard to leave a game that you're just extremely good at to go learn other games and take that 1 or 2 years. You know, it's just hard.
No, trust me, I get it. It's one of the biggest traps in poker is being good at like a certain game or a certain stake that you're printing at, because if you're printing at X stake and X game, you don't want to mess that up. You don't want to like go up and perhaps
you don't
lose.
Fix what ain't broke. That's
exactly. So it takes, but then that can also keep you stagnant. It can also keep you in the same place.
Keeps you content. It does. Like, you know, I mean, obviously that almost $600,000 score in January was like, whoa, you know, I can maybe take shots at bigger games. And I'm going to, when they start spreading bigger limit hold'em games at Bellagio, I'm going to play 200, 400, 300, 600. Maybe I'll sell a little if it's 400, 800. But I'll jump in if the game's good, if I see, you know. Because, like, you know, not to knock other players, but I've seen the people that I've beaten year after year in limit hold'em, and now they're playing these huge mixed games, you know, and I just had a better feel in limit hold'em than they did, I feel, and I've just beat them consistently. And I'm like, like I look over in Bobby's room and someone playing 600 mixed. You know, and when I played in limit hold'em with them for a couple of years, 3 years straight, I was like, wow, I was beating them, you know, and now they've kind of playing bigger. Limit hold'em has its ceiling, but you know, 40, 80, and 80, 160, I can make, you know, you can make, you know, 140, 160 an hour. You can make a big bet an hour, 200 outs. That's, you know, that's tough to do on the real world.
For sure. When did you make that switch to limit?
I go back and forth. Like,
I mean, I know we were talking tonight, you played No Limit tonight, but
I played Limit Hold'em a lot in my I played No Limit first, and then I picked up Limit Hold'em at Fox's in 2006 or 7. But then I would literally go back and forth. When I got tired of one, I would go to the other and go back and forth. And then when I moved to Miami, I lived there for 4 years. I only played No Limit Hold'em.
yeah, they don't have Limit there, do they?
I would only play Limit Hold'em at the series every year. So 2010 to 14, I would literally play Limit Hold'em at the Bellagio because I missed it and I wanted to play it all the time during the World Series of Poker. Or if I made a trip out to the Commerce and play the LAPC, I would be in a Limit Hold'em game playing 40 or 60, 120. But like now I live here, and now 75%, 80% of the time, I'm in the 40-80 game or the 80-160 or whatever the biggest Limit Hold'em game at Bellagio is. And if I'm waiting for the game, you'll catch me in 5-10 no limit or short stacking 10-20 no limit if the game's good. So that's kind of my routine right now. Because of my big score, I'm playing a little more tournaments that I would usually. Like my normal yearly schedule of tournaments is 10 to 13 events during the World Series, 6 or 7 outside of the World Series, maybe 10. So 25. 22 to 30 throughout the whole year. Yeah. And, I always make fun of my friends, some of these brash friends you talked about earlier, that they put in, they put in 15x the amount of volume that I do. Yeah. And they only have like 1.5, 2x the amount of earnings that I have. Yeah. So I'm like, bro, you want to talk about fucking ROI? Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? You want to talk about, buy-ins compared to what I've actually made. Yeah. But no, I learned a lot from them in terms of tournaments. They play more than me. They're pretty good at it. So, but and
now you're going to Cali.
Yeah, I'm moving to California. Finally, I've been talking about it for years. I mean, I lived there for like 3 months, a couple different times. Redondo for 3 months, Mar Vista for 3 months. I've been going to Cali forever. I just like the energy. People don't like, it's either you hate LA or you love LA. I love LA. Yeah. I love the beach. I love the chaos. I love the people. When I say the people, the amount of people that are there doing different things. Yeah. You know what I want to see from you? I want to see stand-up. Stand-up, yeah? Yeah, I want to see stand-up somewhere in Southern California, because everywhere you can go anywhere in Southern California, you can get stand-up. And I want to see you like pushing yourself a little bit in the entertainment area. That's what I want to do. Yeah. When I lived in Mar Vista right before going off Survivor, I was playing the Limit Hold'em game. There was a lady there who was on the new Full House. I forgot her name. It's sad that I'm forgetting her name. Not the best with names, but she was really nice, really beautiful lady. She told me that I needed to get into improv immediately. She said that like you're hilarious. You need to do something in the comedy-based like movies. Like I would be cool to be like character in a Seth Rogen movie or a character in like, I think that you could also do voices. Yeah, voiceovers would be huge. Yeah. Your voices are insane. Yeah, because I just like be a character in a cartoon movie or something like that. Yeah, it'd be awesome to do that kind of stuff. You have to be in LA in that area to kind of immerse yourself into that culture and put yourself in opportunities for that. So I'm glad that you're making the move. I'm making the move, and also I'm never going to be that struggling actor or struggling person, struggling artist. Because like I can play at the bike twice a week and play the 61-20 Hold'em game where I can check raise some faces over there, and I can just incorporate that and have and it's a good thing I have this kind of safety net with that big tournament score, and I have some other investments, and I'm at this point in my life where I can go out to LA and invest 30 hours a week into the entertainment section and sector per se, or do different things and find where I belong, and like it would be fun to fail. It'd be fun to go to callings, castings, and do headshots and like, start it all at 40 years old and find a new style or do different things and continuously change and evolve and really fucking go at it. Like, just do it. Like, because when you're 50, you're gonna be like, I wish I did it. You know what I mean? I wish I went to LA. Yeah. I wish I did it when I was 40. It wasn't too late, because at 50, you're gonna look at 38, 39 and be like, damn, I was young. Yeah. I was so young then, when like now you're thinking how good you felt when you were 30. Like, damn, at 30 I was, I could break a wall with my dick, and like, I can still do that once in a while. But you know what I'm saying? Like you can't keep looking back at what you could have done. You got to do it now. Yeah. You keep waking up every day in bed like, today's the day I'm gonna do this and do this differently, and you just got to make changes. You gotta. It's hard, man, to break habits. It's hard to do all that. Well, what I love is that you're talking to yourself right now. You're like, I talk to myself a lot. You're hyping yourself up to finally make the move to California. I'm fucking moving out there. I'm gonna be staying with my friend in Burbank. She runs her and her husband Heather Crow and Brian Burke. They run something called Hit Living Foundation. You would love it. It's a dog rescue. They have like 10, 12 dogs in the house at all times.
Oh man.
And she rescues dogs from the Bahamas, from all over the world. They go to India. She's like just a soul of souls. And just to be in that environment, I'll be there with them for a little while because I didn't want to sign a lease right away. They have like a bed and bath for me in the house, my own little private section of the house. And I'm gonna come back for the series and play a full schedule, and then be able to sign a real place. Like I just want to kind of like I want to be on the beach somewhere, sign a 1 or 2 bedroom lease for 1 year, really full on, and stay out in LA.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun move. And you're right, dude. Like we were in Aruba together. You told me about this dog rescue place. I'm like trying to bring a dog home with me on the airplane.
Yeah, but you have to like schedule it. They're like, you can't just bring it tomorrow. What are you talking about?
I'm like bring a dog over. I'll take it right now.
Yeah. I just want to give back a little. Like, playing poker, sometimes you feel a little like you're not that fulfilled. Like, Dan Smith has his whole charity thing, and a lot of these guys give back, and you're the way you give back is you allow all this content that you're making for people to watch and for somebody to change their life and possibly become a professional poker player, or just the creative side of you is very admirable. And I like, people watch your shit and don't realize how much work you put into this. It's literally, you want to talk about embrace the grind. Like, this is what your life's about. And I think some people understand it, but most don't understand how much work and effort it actually takes to be where you are. Yeah. And that's something that I had to learn just watching you. And like, a lot of people told me I should be doing what you've done like years ago, but like, I just didn't have it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about, I just show up to the poker game. I like just roll out of bed and just fucking flick some chips in and pick up 4,000, go to the cage, go get a bite to eat, and come here and do this with you. Where you're setting up all this equipment, you have to do all this editing, you have all the stuff that people don't see what we're doing now. It's to edit videos took you so much time to learn how to do it. Yeah. And that's why, like, I've watched a lot of your vlogs. They're fucking entertaining. They're fun.
Yeah, thank you, man.
They're really, it's fun.
I think one thing that people don't understand though is that it's one foot in front of the other. Like, I didn't just start creating content and it was just natural and it worked or whatever. First time I ever got in front of the camera was awful. I literally stared at the camera and like looked at the viewfinder like I'm doing right now, and I could not talk. I was just like monotone, had nothing coming out of my mouth. I was like, why is this so difficult? But I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a video, and I don't care if it's difficult. I'm going to figure out how to stand in front of a camera. I'm going to figure out how to talk to it. Then I'm going to figure out how to edit it. Then I'm going to figure out how to like do the sound. The sound of my videos was so awful at the beginning. And now here we are 3.5 years later. And sure, you see lights and you see the cameras, and it's a little bit easier to talk on camera now for me. But like, it's just like with you going to LA. You're not going to go to LA and be like a great comedian day one.
No, nobody's an overnight celebrity. This is not, what we're doing is not overnight. That's why I tell people, like, if you want to become a professional poker player, it ain't gonna happen overnight. Yeah. My first score in tournaments took me 7 years. To find what I was good at, and it took me years to really master my craft and to really, it takes time. I try to preach this to my sister, who I'm currently not talking to because of money. I love her, the girl, to death, but she just wants a quick fix. She just wants to one day become rich. When I become rich, unless you win the Mega Millions or something like that, or you somehow get a free tournament entry into something and you just win the main event like that. Yeah. Not everybody's Jerry Yang, and even he went, busto because of taxes. And when you hit that kind of money right away, it's not really great for you. It's good to kind of eat shit for a while. And you took a lot of heat. You had a lot of notable poker players coming at you for your shit and kind of hating on you, and trying to make some statements about your content and your material. And a lot of people in your spot would have shied away and be like, yeah, this ain't, it's just, I gotta back up. But you fucking stood your ground. And now you're something, you're a force to be reckoned with, and you're here now. You're here forever, and it's fucking awesome, and you're respected by your community, and there's gonna be haters. I don't want to sound so cliche, but when they say if you don't have haters, you're not doing it. You're not doing anything right. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's one thing that I had to learn too. Like, I always wanted to be liked by everyone. I just have a problem if somebody doesn't like me. I'm like, why does that person don't like me? I want to go over and fucking make that person like me. But you know what? Like, I set my boundaries. I had to that's a lot of things I learned now is the expectations I have of people, I gotta stop thinking that I expect these certain things from these people and be like, that's who he's gonna be. They're not gonna really change. It's not up to me to try to change them. And also setting boundaries with people that are in my life now, like in terms of family or friends, not letting certain people take advantage of me, or just saying like, no, this is my space. I can't do this right now. No, I love you, but because like I spread myself way too thin, and it's kind of, I think it had something to do with some of the health issues I have. It's definitely something I have is definitely physical because I can feel it in one area, but I think the stress and the constantly moving around and doing so many things at fucking one time beat me down. So now I'm just, I'm one who a lot of people give me credit and props for being well balanced. Because when I play poker, when I leave the casino, I'm out. I don't go home and study hands or do certain things, which I nothing against. But I go to Thailand for a few months. I go to do yoga. I try to meditate. I go hiking. I go on dates. I like do this, do that. And a lot of players ask me like, hey, what should I do? They want to kind of, because I tell people 50% of becoming a professional poker player, 50% is off the table. It's not all about like how good you are at poker. It's how good you are at being a poker player. Isn't really like doing other things, because you can just fucking crash and burn and get burnt out if you just keep.
One of the things that I noticed for myself, I'm curious if this is something for you. When you have, we've had to learn how to deal with like the ups and downs of like winning and losing money, notably losing money. And do you feel like that you have kind of emotionally deadened yourself in some ways to like deal with that kind of stuff? Or is that one of the reasons why you were Limit Holdem? Or Limit Holdem has big swings too,
Limit Holdem is extremely high variance, way more than No Limit. You'd be surprised when you go on big swing.
Do you feel like this is carried over into your personal life? Like the way that you've, or you just like leave poker at the door and you're like out when you leave? Yeah,
when I'd say I leave poker at the door because I'm at the supermarket and I got, I'm looking like at prices of certain things, and I'm a big principle guy. And because we're in the casino and we're losing 4 or 5K a day and winning 4 or 5K a day or 20K or whatever your swings are, it's hard to go out and just, you don't want that to be in your everyday life. I still appreciate the dollar. I still appreciate making money. I still appreciate, because I came from nothing. I didn't have anything. Everything I have is for myself. I have no problem with people getting backed and staked. I've had people offer me to be fully backed and staked, and I've always turned them down because I don't want to work for anybody. I feel like the reason why we play poker is because we want to work for ourselves. Now, like getting backed is cool because you have somebody who's better than you and they are telling you, they're giving you information. So it's good to like, there's so many stories of players that when they were back, they lost so much money for their back, but they learned so much. And when they left them, they wanted to, as soon as they're on their own now they're making all the money, right? And it's kind of like a bitter thing for the people that backed them. Like, I dropped him and now we hit like 4 tournaments in a row. They also had that opportunity to play big events where they wouldn't have if they did it themselves. And we can go back when I talked about like meeting and befriending rich people to have this opportunities. I just kind of ate shit and did everything myself and won satellites and did this, did that. And there's just 2 different roads, the road you take is how comfortable you are with certain things. But to answer your question, I kind of do check poker at the door when I leave the casino. I splurge though on traveling. I splurge on big meals. I do live accordingly. My friends call me a miser. They say that like, I'm just really good at money, but I spend money. Like I'm not cheap. Like I tip well. I take care of my friends. I buy dinner. I do things out of love, and I fucking I'm
a big principle guy too, man. I mean, one of the ones that really gets me is paying for parking. When I feel like I'm paying way too much for parking, when I can just find like a spot that's like free or something. And my wife is like, what are you doing? She's like, we can just valet. And I'm like, it's $15 to valet and it's free to park across the street.
And you get your steps in too. You park across the street.
She's like, you just won 4K last night. Like, what are you worried about? $15
adds up, baby. The shit adds up. You're gonna go broke. You get that mentality. That transfers to so many other things. You go to Whole Foods. You go to Trader Joe's. You go cook for yourself. You make some food. You're not out eating at 5-star restaurants all the time. Do we? Yeah, we love it. We go get. I had $100 steak before I came into this meeting here. This interview podcast fucking party. I had a steak, and like I enjoyed it, and like it felt good after a nice win. When I win money though, I always like, I don't really do anything. If I'm on a streak, I just keep putting it away. When I lose, when I have like 2 or 3 losing sessions, I go out and spend money. 'Cause I'm like, damn it, fucking lost 7,000 in the last 3 days. I gotta go buy a pair of fucking Jordans.
Yeah.
I gotta book a flight somewhere. I'm like, damn it, I could have done this with this money, so I do something. It's weird. When I win, when I keep
do the same thing.
I don't want to stop playing. I don't want to spend money on anything. I just want to keep going to the casino, keep playing.
Yeah.
You know, right now I'm on a crazy, like, I'm doing so well playing cash, and you know, it's
just a heater in life.
Yeah, I'm just kind of focusing on being pain free. You know, I don't, you know, if that's a non-inflammatory diet, you know, meditation, you know, where I have my pain, you're constantly moving. You know, like those figures, like wrestling figures you play with when you're a kid, and you can bend their legs and where their ass is. That's where my pain is. So it's like, I can't put my legs and my ass in a sling. I'm moving around. You know, I'm sitting down all the time. You know, occasionally having sex. Hopefully, you know what I mean, which is nice. You know, which is good to have sex and do all these things, and you just constantly move everything. And it's like, you know, sometimes I just want to lay in a sea of salt for like 3 months and breathe fresh like Norwegian air and eat sustainable salmon. And take inflammatory ginger to my fucking tummy every day until I wake up and feel 100%. I feel way better than I did 2 years ago, and I feel better than I did 3 months ago. So my body is healing. I am recovering, and people telling me that I'm starting to look better, which is good. So than what I did 2 years ago.
Nice.
So I'm on the upswing.
Well, it's been really fun catching up with you, Ronnie.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I hope the viewers who watch this really enjoy it and really take away on how to maybe navigate their poker life and, you know, their expectations playing cards.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway for me is not just poker, but like anything that you do is just one foot in front of the other. Like you going to California, you know, you have some dreams of maybe like dipping your toes in the entertainment industry, but you know what it's going to take is just putting yourself in the spot, one foot in front of the other, maybe an audition here, maybe an open mic night here. You're not going to just be a star when you first go there. You're not just going to be a professional poker player the first time you sit down, you know. Everything is a process, just like the process of me creating content, me being awful on my first vlog, to me being not so awful now delivering this interview with you. Well,
yeah, sometimes the best fall, and like you said, putting one step in front of the other. But you know, sometimes you just take a step back and look at, and if you're failing here and there, and see and try to diagnose what you're doing wrong. But yeah, man, I had a great time. I think this podcast went well, and I feel like whoever's watching and listening is gonna get a lot out of it. And this is one of the best I've ever done. I feel like because of our relationship, I was extremely comfortable, and it just really feel like we're just having a conversation. I forgot about the cameras rolling, these mics in our fucking face. So these are great mics too. I want to take one home and sing into it.
Like we actually talked about this 2 years ago. I hit you up and I was like, Ronnie, I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
You were like, what do you want to do a podcast about? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to talk to you.
You were like, I feel like it would be great because we get along, but you're the complete opposite of who I am.
Yep.
You know, so
but you care about a lot of the same things that I do, like, you know, health and wellness and grinding and
respect, and just, you know, at the core, I think we're very much alike in a lot of ways.
We're both very principled people that respect the grind and grind hard. So
embrace the grind. I really do embrace the grind. Not to sound corny, because that's the you know, the name of your podcast.
I mean, that's why we have you.
I really do embrace it. I get it. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I enjoy it. I love it. I get it. I respect it. I'm with it. You know, and maybe one day I can try to teach it. It's really hard. To teach how to like exactly grind. Any profession in life, you know, you got to grind, and you got to keep putting your heart into it, and you just got to never give up. It's my thing. I say, just don't give up, you know?
Well, I think that's a great thing to end the show on. Never give up, embrace the grind. Appreciate Ronnie Bardah for sharing his time with us.
Love you, man.
Love you, brother. And we'll
Thanks
talk
for
to
having
you.
me, bro.
We'll see you guys on a future episode of Embrace the Grind. Thank you so much for watching.
See you soon, guys. Peace.
I'ma give it all I got, like grinding